Hi friends, my name is Jessica Lippy and I'm here to take you to the Mexican border today. I also hope that we can show the difference between crossing the border in a car versus on foot. So come join me. So I'm not actually going to be the one driving across the border today. I'm walking right now, but I'm not going to be walking across the border quite yet either. I am going to be going with my church. We're doing a border ministry trip. That was something I was really looking for in a church that is this close to the Mexican border, is having a good border ministry. So today we will be working in our garden plot at an orphanage. We do several different projects around the Tecate, Mexico area. So I parked my car on the US side of the border. It is a very remote dirt road that is mostly used for parking. There are also plenty of paid parking lots for people who would prefer that on the Tecate, California side. And I'm going to meet them up at the corner of this road and ride in their van over the border. So I've done several of these border ministry trips before. Sometimes they are here at the Tecate Mission International, which is a really amazing organization. But a lot of times they are on the other side of the border that I am now 1,500 feet away from. I don't know why I know that, but I'm waiting at the corner for the van to show up. I don't know exactly when it's going to show up, but I know what it looks like. So we'll meet up then and then go 1,500 feet across the border and then a few more miles to the orphanage that we are going to be working at today. So our church has been running a garden plot there, planting vegetables and fruits, and it's a really cool opportunity for both our church members and the people there. The church provides all the supplies that we need to maintain the garden, and the orphanage gets to benefit from the food and sometimes the local community as well. It's been over a year since I've gotten to last go to the garden, just because I often work on the days that the border ministry happens. But last time it was pouring down rain. I am so thankful for today's weather. It is going to be a very productive day, I'm sure. Now, I have walked across the border dozens of times before. It is pretty simple. You just follow the sidewalk till you get to the border itself. There's a turnstile. So that's where the pedestrians go through. To the left is where cars go. They don't even check your passport when you're going into Mexico. They sometimes have a scanner, just like similar to the airports, that you put your bag through, and then you're in another country. Pretty soon, the church van picked me up and we made our way across the border. It was a very painless experience at the Mexico border. The driver got out for just a moment to open up the trailer that we're using, and then we were on our way to the orphanage. And yes, that is literally all there is to it. They don't even check your passports when you're going into Mexico. Now, if you're driving, your current insurance probably doesn't cover you for a different country, so you do have to get a different type of insurance. That's the main reason that I don't personally drive across the border. However, there are a few options to get one-day insurance. I didn't take too many videos while I was at the orphanage garden because I was kind of busy working, but as you can see, I planted seeds, I planted seedlings, I weeded plants that were already planted, and I even got to enjoy some of the fruits of my labor. we were done at the garden, we made our way back into town to get some tacos, and pretty soon it was time to head back to the border. Now the border was surprisingly empty when we got there. Instead of a very long line that we're used to, we just drove right through with only a few cars in front of us. That was definitely a surprise, something that I've never seen before, but it definitely was a treat. This is what it looks like when you are driving through the U.S. immigration without any traffic. So the church van just dropped me off at the corner and I'm walking back to my car, but I don't think I'm done with Mexico yet today. Let's try going through again, this time using the pedestrian entrance and the pedestrian exit. So I was going to go back to my car, but I decided why even bother, because I was only going to get rid of my sweatshirt and it fits perfectly in my backpack. Now I do want to emphasize that the vehicle entrance today was completely out of the ordinary. I have never seen the line that short. It usually takes at least an hour. So the pedestrian entrance might actually take even longer today. Normally that's the opposite. Normally the pedestrian entrance takes a couple minutes tops, and otherwise you'll be sitting in a very long line of cars for 1 or 2 hours. My original plan with this video was to show you the entrance into Mexico with vehicles and then the pedestrian entrance back into the United States. But this way I get to show you both. So for my lunch today, I did pay for my tacos with a $5 US bill, but I do have a lot of pesos. I just collect the change, and I never even bother with the exchange booths because they usually charge just as much as a restaurant would charge to convert it. So I just convert it when I need it. And I have a lot of extra saved up, so we'll see if I can get some bread or some ice cream. I'll take you to some of my favorite places here in Tecate. So that is one of the current exchange rate places. Not too bad today. Now I won't be allowed to show you myself going through the actual security part of the entrance to Mexico, so I will tell you about it though. So here is the vehicle entrance into Mexico, and to the right is the pedestrian entrance. Now once I go through the turnstile, photography is strictly forbidden. I once was traveling with somebody who kind of got in trouble because she was taking a picture, so I will see you on the other side. And now I'm back in Mexico, so all I had to do was send my bag through a little scanner, and that was really all there was to it. So now I'm in Tecate, Mexico, not Tecate, California, and I'm going to go to El Mejor Pan de Tecate. That is a very famous bakery here. Literally translates into the best bread of Tecate. El Mejor Pan de Tecate is a delicious Mexican bakery, and at a lot of Mexican bakeries you start out grabbing tongs and a tray, and then you use those tongs to grab whatever you want and set it on your tray, and then you'll pay for it at the end. There are a lot of delicious goodies. Some are traditional everyday items that they have, some change from day to day. I ended up getting a manda chiquita china, I believe. Sorry, I don't know Spanish. So I got my bread, but I'm gonna save that for dinner time dessert. Right now I'm gonna go to get some ice cream. I counted up the change I got in pesos and realized I had plenty to buy an ice cream cone, but I can also pay anywhere in US dollars here. Ice cream now, and I'm eating it with a view of the famous Tecate mountain behind me. After this, it was a pretty quick trip on foot. There's plenty of other things to do. But I think it's time to head back and relax a little bit after an intensive day of gardening. So you'll get to see me cross the border back into the United States. Now I've got my passport in hand. I am about a block away from the Mexican border, or the US-Mexican border, I should say. I'm in Mexico right now. We'll see how long the car line is currently, but we'll be headed through the pedestrian line. Again, just like going through the Mexican government, the US government also doesn't allow photography when you're going through the actual immigration process. But I will explain exactly what happens. So I'll be showing my passport at the gate to show that I am a US citizen and can at least go onto the territory. I'll be asked maybe a couple questions and maybe they'll scan my bag. And then I'll be back in the United States. The line of cars definitely did get longer in the past hour or so. This is a little bit more accurate of what it typically looks like. And this is what the pedestrian entrance typically looks like. Welcome back to the United States. So they did ask me two questions. One was, where am I going next, and what am I bringing with you? The two very standard questions that I'm almost always asked. If you're going to your home, they are fine with that. If you are bringing pastries, they're fine with that. They don't allow fruits or vegetables though, so that is one thing to make sure not to cross the border with. Now I'm heading back to my car. As you can see on this road, a lot of people park on the street to avoid paying for the parking lots, but parking lots and exchange booths are probably the two top and probably only businesses that are large here in Tecate, California. Tecate, California is much smaller than Tecate, Mexico. So, a couple other things I wanted to point out about the difference between coming back to the US between a car and as a pedestrian. With cars, they do scan the vehicle, like a heat map vehicle, or heat mapping, I believe, to see if there is anybody. For example, we had a big van that only had a few people in it, and then we had a trailer with our gardening tools. So they needed to make sure that the trailer only had gardening tools and that the only people inside the van were the people that turned in their passports for the immigration. Now, of course, everything, both pedestrian and vehicle, there's lots of cameras and security. With the pedestrian entrance, you do go inside a building and they do a facial scan, just with a little webcam. So they do that for every individual. But now I am just walking back to my car. My car's a little bit out of the way, but I hope this allowed you to learn what you needed to know in order to cross the US border and the Mexican border. Whether you're going by foot or by car, with other people or solo. I hope this day showed you all the factors to that. And even more than that, I hope that my impact there helped Mexico out a little bit, whether it was gardening at the orphanage or spending money at the shops. Now, I do want to mention though that between the taco I got for lunch, the pastry that I'm saving for later, and the ice cream that I ate for dessert, I spent less than $5 today. So the church provided all the transportation at no charge to me. So really I only need to pay for my gas to get home. So thank you guys so much. It's been a fun day. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you join me next time. Bye!